We all wish we could bring our Disney vacation home with us, right? To have that Disney feeling every day? Well, why not start your day the Disney way with a Disney blend from Joffrey's Coffee and Tea Company? With over 23 varieties to choose from the French bistro you find in your resort room to the Yachtsman Steakhouse and Gico, of course, and now Joffrey's newest Disney blend, Le Cellier. Why not start your day with that Disney magic? Order yours today at Joffreys.com.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas. To our new passengers, aloha and welcome aboard.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining us. I'm Tim Scott.
I'm Bob Collar.
This is ResortLoop.com. This is the show we just squeak in at the very end of the month.
No,
What?
we're not doing that show, Tim.
Oh, we're not doing that show?
Today is Fat Tuesday.
Woo! I need a punchki.
Woo! I have eaten so much, I need to go and hug the toilet.
Oh,
I don't know what that means.
Ooh.
So what? I've overindulged. What? Can we just have a nice, calm show today? You think?
No way we're going to have a calm show. This is the DVC Roundtable for February
Oh,
2017. We have a full roundtable today. Joining us on the show, we have Rebecca Toon.
Hello.
Emily Hansa Hicks.
Hiccup.
There you go. Joe Quattrochi.
she's been enjoying Fat Tuesday.
Absolutely. Hey, Joe.
Looper Nation, what's going on, guys?
Hey, Chris Malik.
Hello.
And from out west, Mr. Brad Coates.
Greetings.
So, everybody, how are you doing?
Fantastic.
Very
Wonderful.
Better than Bob.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know
He
if
thinks
the
it's-
toilet
he
or
thinks it's-
anything.
Can
He
I?
thinks
Can I
it's
be
Tuesday.
hungover this
I don't know what the deal is.
You don't know about Fat Tuesday?
No.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. So, who has been to New Orleans?
Nolans?
I've been once.
I have
Never.
Go, Brad.
Amazing place.
been there.
Who has been to Port Orleans?
Hey.
That I have done.
Yes.
All right, good enough.
Who's eating Zatarans?
I did not get as many beads at Port Orleans as I did in New Orleans.
No, there is that.
There was that
Security-
citation.
Security came by.
Yeah, you did get that citation, so that was.
I did come back with that restraining order. So that was.
And Tim,
When
so
I
much
called
for Edit Free 2017.
There we go.
When I called Port Riverside the Big Easy, people looked at me weirdly. So
They had no idea. All right. So, Tim,
Yes.
what are we going to talk about with these fine folks this evening?
Well, it's a DVC Roundtable. We're going to talk some DVC news. Rebecca's going to start us off with our first story.
Hello. So the first story tonight is going to come from the Caribbean Beach Resort or the Caribbean Beach Resort, depending on where you're from and how you talk. They will feature a new waterfront dining area and a retail shopping area, creating a new landscape from the resort's current marketplace center town. The new location will offer resort guests more convenient access to services, amenities, and dining. In late April of this year, most of the Centertown amenities that are currently there will be closing for these major renovations. So what you're going to see is Old Port Royale Food Court, Shutters, Banana Cabana Pool Bar, and the Calypso Trading Post will all close down in the late April time. I think Old Port Royale and Shutters is closing April 27th. So they'll have replacement dining options available to guests on a temporary basis, and you'll see a limited selection of meals and things like that will be offered in that location while they are renovating, sort of that grab-and-go style eating. Mm-hmm. New rumors have indicated that the plans have been filed for a very large expansion of Disney's Caribbean Beach Resort. And the plans say that the work is scheduled to begin in this year, and completion is expected around 2019, which, much like football minutes in Disney years, is probably around 2024. There 7 new buildings are scheduled to be built, including a large multi-level building, which I know Bob is super thrilled and excited about. And plans indicate the building will sit on the land where Barbados Village is currently. I haven't been to Caribbean Beach in a long time, so I'm not sure where that is. But you can find maps all over the place on the internet. The plans also show roadway changes and a relocation of retention ponds.
Interesting.
Exciting.
So,
Now I'm depressed.
At a number of the moderate resorts right now. I think you're going to see the moderates change and shift a little bit in the next few years.
I've never seen Caribbean Beach except driving around in the Magical Express, and I'm kind of bummed because it sounds like it's going to change a bit.
Everything, well, and I guess actually Bob's head exploded over the Coronado high-rise, not the Caribbean Beach one. So
I don't know what you're talking about.
I just assume that his head explodes over all high-rises.
Well,
That's not terribly inaccurate.
His blood pressure increases as the buildings increase.
I guess
think
the good
that
news.
it gives more, it's more rooms, it's more availability.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. I guess it's good news because it means that DVCers will have sort of an opening there if they're not using like the concierge collection or the Disney, I forget what it's called, but when we apply them to the Disney hotels
collection.
themselves. Yeah, the Disney collection. That's right. Yep.
Yeah.
So it'll be nice because then we
Yeah,
can actually stay there on points.
And I think it's just probably less expensive to build on than build new.
And honestly, if there are some moderate type options as far as lower point values, which is the only way I can really assume that this could work, it's really kind of a fun option for us, old DVC members that bought in with these deluxes that, say you have a bunch of young kids and you'd like to go more frequently rather than the upscale experience. And you may just be able to go more often if there's more moderate type resorts.
Or if you wanted to ride the gondola from your resort.
Yes.
There we go.
Which
Wow.
I do. Not going to lie.
She's poking the bear.
The flights
we open
anywhere but Orlando.
Are we open for any speculation, hearsay, and rumors with this story?
Go for it, Chris.
Hit it.
Do it.
So a good friend of mine, Peter Panacorvo, just bought DVC over at the Polynesian, and he fulfilled a bucket list. And in purchasing the property, he had talked to his DVC guide, and he kind of asked about this, and the DVC guide had looked at him and said that DVC will never go into a moderate, and kind of left it kind of just open ended like that. So Pete didn't know if they meant that to take that the Caribbean Beach is going to be changed overall and lose its moderate status, or if perhaps the Caribbean.
Chris, I gotta interrupt you now. I guarantee the guide is gonna say that because he's probably trying to sell Polynesian still, Alani still, and he's gonna have Copper Creek come up to sell as well, which are all listed as deluxe resorts. So
It might be.
Yeah,
It might be,
no way
but
he's gonna tell
Pete
him. Like,
didn't need
you might
convincing,
wanna
though.
wait for,
Yeah.
Oh no,
No.
Pete went in full guns blazing to buy the
Or
Polynesian.
Well,
Yeah,
it also sounds he said that very specifically with a specific set of words. These are words that I can say that will not, where I can still have an out. Like I didn't say they'd never be at Caribbean Beach. It's just they would never be at moderate, and moderate is, and Caribbean Beach is no longer a moderate. I mean, that's an easy out right there.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. And they
And it
could
may
also
very-
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, and it may very well be that because there's other stuff floating around now with both Caribbean and Coronado, I believe, both of them talking about expanding the conference footprint, trying to get more people to bring their conventions in. But here's the bottom line: no matter what guide you talk to, he may be aware of what's happening next. But what the future is way above their pay grade. There's no way that person could tell you it'll never happen at this point.
That's very true. I don't think DVC knows even.
Yeah, exactly.
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 Yeah. But I
the
think
next
that
step
The other thing,
may
they could
not be.
semantically mince those words very easily.
I
We'll
totally
see.
agree with Rebecca, and I think what they will do is just create a new name for the area, like they do with the Copper Creek
Copper Creek.
cabins.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
it'll be
Boulder
technically,
Bridge. Yeah.
Possibly.
it'll technically be a deluxe DVC standalone,
It just
sort
happens
of
to be
partner
right
resort.
next door and share services with
Right.
Caribbean and Coronado.
It confused everybody at the bus stops.
Or the
There's a
gondola pad.
possibility.
Oh,
There is a possibility.
hey.
Wow.
Expansion, just more rooms and more convention. I mean, it very well could be. So, well, I guess we'll find
Bob's
out.
getting excited.
I'm telling you, I would pay some serious points to be on a gondola pad.
That's all that matters. We're getting a gondola.
I mean,
The show's over, everybody. We'll see ya. Have a good night.
Let's hope it's pretty
Bob
important.
disconnects us all.
Tim, we're going to try this with a new group.
There you go. And we just got a logo too.
Seriously though, I do have a serious question for you guys, and this goes beyond the whole DVC portion of it. With everything that's closing, the food court, shutters, Banana Cabana pool bar, the trading post, is it for anybody? Is it worth even booking Caribbean Beach Resort?
Bob, I was thinking the exact same thing. If I was somebody who is just looking to plan a vacation, I mean, we've all seen at other resorts, when a quick service goes down, they have temporary food options. We all know they're not very good. I was just at the Grand Floridian, kind of doing a little bar crawl one night, and the Gasparilla Grill was down, and they had a temporary food option for the Grand Floridian and Meisner's, and it was just like a couple things. And for being at a deluxe resort, it was awful. And so I can't even imagine what they're gonna have. I mean, maybe they'll have more room at Caribbean Beach, but there's no. I mean, if you're the type of family that's relying on the food court for breakfast or for something quick when you come back from the parks at your resort, you might want to look at Port Orleans French Quarter, who just finished a rehab of their food court. Coronado doesn't sound like Pepper Market's going to go down with all this new expansion for Coronado. So I would look elsewhere.
And I would that wouldn't even enter into my decision, because I can tell you, I can count on one hand the number of times we actually eat at a resort when we're staying unless it's like a signature dining kind of place. Like we've stayed at resorts and never seen the food court because we always eat in the parks or we have breakfast in our room or whatever. So that wouldn't actually come into play with me. Now, when our kids were small, 100% right, Joe.
Right.
So I think it depends on how you vacation.
Noise. You could have construction noise too. So that's another thing to keep in.
That would worry me more than the amenities being down. But I feel like Disney does a pretty good job with the construction noise. I mean, I hear people worried about it, but I very rarely hear people come back saying it was actually a problem.
And then I'm wondering too, as far as Barbados is toward the front of the resort.
Right.
If they're going to be doing all the work on those, how is that going to then affect bus traffic and all of that stuff, getting back in and out of your resort? I don't know. They have other entrances and exits, obviously, but I don't know.
And
So
they're
the
looking
argument
at
people
2
always make
years.
What's that?
Right.
Looking at a 2-year construction schedule. That's a long time.
That's a long time.
It's a lot of Lunchables
And the
being
argument
served.
people make for the values is the same one that I would make for staying in a resort with construction, though. That especially if you're just gonna be in the room for the evening and you're really sort of park goers and you're gonna be eating at the parks, then the moderates still offer a slightly larger room size, I believe. So you will still get all the theming, you'll still get the room size, you're just not going to be sitting at the pool the whole time, and a lot of people don't. So
True.
And especially doesn't Caribbean have the pirate rooms? I mean, I
Right.
feel like people would be willing to give up, especially, and I don't know that they would do this, but especially if there's offering any kind of discount or anything like that during that construction phase, that might be a great time to try and get into one of those pirate rooms if that's been your dream.
And they've got that fantastic pool too with the pirate cannons and all of that.
That's one of our favorite pools.
Right. So, but are you going to be able to go over there and really enjoy the pool, and then you can't, run in and grab a bite to eat?
Yeah, the bite to eat
when
part will be a problem, but part of this is they're going to make changes in the roadway, so they may very well be doing that first and creating a way to get around where the construction issues, so the buses could get back and forth. I don't know.
Can we talk about the gondola now? Can we please
Nope.
Wow.
talk about the gondola?
Moving on.
I think that's what the roadway changes are for, is the gondola, Joe. I'm pretty sure.
I just want to point out, if you carry a flask everywhere you go, you don't need the pool bar.
That's absolutely true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of apple juice
with a straw on the top.
Obviously.
Obviously.
Fermented. I mean, fruit juice.
Chris, please save us.
Bob, you know what? I want to make sure that my next story is completely cool with you, so I don't want to anger you at all. But I want to talk about a little bit of ongoing at Coronado Springs. You good with that, Bob? Can we talk about that? Well, I do want to talk about
these. Tim picked all of these. Did you do this on purpose, Tim?
I do know how you enjoy a good 15-story gigantic tower.
Baby.
Gigante.
Wait a minute.
Work's begun on that 15-story tower. They're going to dub it Collar Tower at Coronado Springs Resort.
They better.
They said you designed it.
So one
Tim,
keyword.
Like
one
Legos.
keyword to share. Sightlines.
That's what I'm saying. It's going to block it. Anyway, Tim, we're not going to go back down this road. But I mistakenly was calling it a behemoth.
That's true.
Tim corrected me.
The contemporary is the 15-story behemoth. So we have to call this Coronado Springs one the 15-story gigante of a hotel, keeping with the theme.
Gigante.
Gigante.
I want to hear Leviathan.
Well, Bob, when you design this, you design it well. You're going to add 500 additional rooms, suites, and concierge-level services. It's going to overlook the lake there, Lago Dorado, the resort's centerpiece lake.
And the lake about 50 miles away. And
exactly.
Right.
And you'll be able to see the ocean.
And the Gulf of Mexico.
Right. We're going to offer a fabulous rooftop dining experience, panoramic views of the fireworks, which has got to be the catch. So the senior vice president, his name is Josh, and I'm going to say this wrong. It's Damaro, I'm a guess.
You got it.
He quoted that at Walt Disney World Resorts, we continue to expand our portfolio and invest in new resort developments that allow even more guests to be immersed in all that a Disney resort has to offer. They're going to reimagine. Now, this is the DVC component. They're going to reimagine its current resort rooms and transform its landscape with floating gardens and an island oasis connected by a series of bridges to other parts of the resort.
Oh,
I do like that. By the way, I do love that idea.
I don't
Oh
think
my
you don't
goodness,
have to
Bob
walk
likes
all the way.
something. Wait a
Because
minute.
that lake is a big monster to walk around that. Absolutely.
When we rent the Grand Villa there, are you going to come or not, Bob? That's the question.
Staying in Collar Tower.
I never turned down an invitation, so yes, I will come. I will be angry the whole time, but I will.
That's
I
true.
will be there.
He's packing
My
his angry
arms will be
eyes.
crossed as they are right now.
The rooftop actually overlooks the Looper Nation recording studio.
The
Studio.
So you can just stand
Studio of the
outside
fountain.
and shake your fist at us.
Yeah.
It looks like the house from Up.
So let me ask you, with the room refurbishment that's going to take place, and I understand it's gonna very much be part of the resort theme they currently have now. Do you think that refurbishment's going to be along the lines of the Polynesian Studio DVC refurbishment? Is that what the bottom line they're going for here ultimately in a few years, or is it just an overall resort refurbishment with nothing to do with DVC?
So I think you're going to see DVC.
I think you're going to have it. I think you are going to have the component, the DVC component. Yeah.
I have a different take on this. If y'all are interested in that, I think that this is almost mimicking Swan and Dolphin almost, where they're going to build this. I think because they're trying to use this as one of the main. This is like the moderate convention center. I think they're targeting the conventioneer. Where I think they're going to do is maybe knock down buildings like sections 1, 2, and 3 where the casitas are. That's within walking distance to the convention hall and to the main El Centro area. And I think it's like where conventioneers can just walk downstairs. Boom, you've got Rick's Lounge in there. You've got Pepper Market, some of the restaurants. Instead of conventioners walking all the way around from the opposite side of Lago Dorado. You know what I'm saying? Like it might be more convenient for them to put them in that, and have, boom, walk right downstairs. You're right at your meetings. I mean, that's what I think.
So you see it targeting
then have the fancy dining upstairs, and you could also sell that to conventions, saying, "Hey, come upstairs, wine and dine your clients up there. You could watch the fireworks at Epcot or the studios, because I'm sure if it's 15 stories and it's a behemoth, you could see fireworks from all over the place. It's just like being at the Contemporary. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Mm-hmm. They might throw a DVC component in there where they have some, floors or whatever. But I think maybe that's where they're going, is they're targeting conventioneers in this one, because aren't they getting rid of the Contemporary Convention Center soon?
Yes.
So this might be a transfer from the Contemporary.
And there was discussion about that. So I agree. And I think that's exactly, I think we're going to see DVC Caribbean for Coronado with only the addition of 500 rooms, plus all the conversation they've been having about closing the other convention and building new, trying to bring in more convention business. I think Coronado's good. I'm with you. I think it's going to be strictly, their whole push here is to build towards a convention resort.
And Brad, also,
I'm persuaded.
For DVC, you still got the Polynesian you got to sell. Alani's still in the market. And then you're going to have Copper Creek coming in and Caribbean Beach. So it's like, I mean, they're going to have a plethora of inventory to get rid of.
Yep.
And I just don't, I mean, it's just my opinion. I think if they're going to target that and maybe further on down the line, do kind of like what they did at Animal Kingdom Lodge, where they took some floors, you know, and if it does really well, and once they're done with inventory, they'll just say, hey, we'll convert the top couple floors or maybe the bottom floors to studios and sell those. I mean,
I have to admit, I'm not a Disney bus driver, so I don't have the inside information. Yeah.
I'm not either.
I do agree, though. It seems unlikely that they would do the DVC component in both.
Yeah, exactly.
I think you're going to wait. They're going to wait and see how Caribbean Beach is received first, and if it does well, you're going to see it everywhere.
Yeah. Keep in mind with Animal Kingdom, they converted those rooms in the Jumbo House, but the only reason they did it was because they were already tracking to build Kidani. So they knew, well, we're only going to have just a handful of rooms. I can't see them converting just a small number of rooms to experiment. You know, they're either going to give you a good number of rooms or they're not. So they're going to have to give you 250 to 350 rooms, I would think, minimum, that would be devoted to a DVC to even make it worth selling rooms. Does that make sense?
And if you're targeting conventioneers, it's not worth it to take that many rooms. Because think about it. If you're a conventioneer and you're coming in for a meeting, most people are coming in. I mean, maybe they'll bring their families, but a lot of times you see these guys at Coronado, they're like by themselves. So like, how many conventions can you really hold if you only got 500 rooms for that main building that you're going to try to sell?
And one of the articles I was going to say, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say inside scoop on that a little bit, but not really, I guess. We recently went down for a convention, and actually we were scheduled to stay at Caribbean Beach, but because of the convention, I had the room booked at Caribbean. We ended up moving to the yacht club because of a convention that my husband was attending. There was a lot of question. There was initially no question, but then there was later question about whether or not people were able to, book 2 rooms or not for family. So I think, and then they basically told us that they sold out really quickly out of the yacht club rooms. Then they went into overflow rooms into several resorts, and those rooms sold out really quickly. So I do think that they have sort of a space issue with the conventions because people do bring their families. And if there is this perception that the people that come for the convention don't bring their families, it's probably mostly a visual perception, or it's caused by the fact that they restrict as much as they can booking the rooms.
Sure.
Yep.
And the one other thing I was going to note too, that wherever I read the article, I can't remember now, but one of the concerns that's been voiced over time with conventions and why they've not been able to bring in the conventions, they feel like part of the problem was they didn't have any high-end rooms for CEOs, for the big dogs. Mm-hmm. They don't want to stay in a standard room. And so that's why I look at this and see suites and concierge level services. This is specifically to target convention and creating that higher level room where the CEO types will want to stay on site with the rest of their people.
And Coronado is off the beaten path. It's not like
that's true too.
It's not like you're staying at the Polynesian and you have a lobby full of people waiting for Ohana.
Everybody's lined up for Ohana,
Yeah,
it's good point.
You need to make your point. You need an effort to go over to Coronado.
Yeah.
So
you could isolate it and make it feel really upscale.
And there is nothing over there for me to go over for. So it's a nice resort, but I'm not either. I'm not running. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to go eat at that restaurant.
I want to see that pool. Oh my gosh,
it
looks so cool in the pictures.
The pool's great.
Oh yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah, here's okay. This is the last we're going to talk about Coronado Springs and I just got to say this because Tim started this. Okay?
Hey.
Here's the quote. Here's the quote that bothered me the most. I didn't get to say this last time. The transformation will stay true to the resort theme, reflecting the vibrant spirit of adventure that lived within the Spanish explorers of North America. What Spanish explorer saw a 15-story high-rise? They came over. All they had to do.
Would have.
All they had to do was
they would
build.
Have.
They would.
You clearly have never been to the Mayan ruins and climbed one of those.
But that's what I'm saying. Why why not build a nice Mayan like pyramid?
Yeah.
And make that almost like the one out in Vegas, the Luxor. Build a pyramid. I know the footprint would have been huge, but you could have had inside rooms overlooking some, waterfall garden kind of thing, and outside rooms overlooking out.
And
That's all I'm saying.
Good. I agree. You're right.
That would have looked much better. We're done. I'm out. Drop the mic.
Stop dropping your mic.
Drop the mic.
Stop
Get on
dropping
your
your
gondola
mic.
and ride away.
Oh,
That might be expensive. Don't
Wow. Words hurt, Becca. Words hurt. All right, Tim, what else we got?
Do you feel better now?
That
No.
will bring the total rooms in Walt Disney World Resort to nearly 30,000 rooms.
Wow.
Gonna let that sink in.
That's not bad.
Wow.
That's not bad.
It's not bad at all.
I can only go so many times a year. Okay. I hope all of you are going to pick up some of this slack.
I'm good for like 1,800 of those.
Hey, Tim.
Yo.
Tim, Bob's going to feel terrible when they excavate and find a 15-story tower hidden in Mayan ruins.
Exactly.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
Overlooking a waterfall.
It's going to look terrible.
With a mummy
I think we just need
concierge
to-
Yeah.
sitting in there behind the
Yeah.
desk.
With an elevator there, a guy with a crank.
Right. Yeah, good luck with that. I'm just saying.
With like hieroglyphics that
All
mean
right.
collar.
All right. Let's move on.
Oh, let's see what we have here. A couple quick mention stories. I guess the Geyser Point Bar and Grill at the Wilderness Lodge is now open. Anybody heard about this? I've seen some video. It looks awesome. It does look
This
fantastic.
place is going
Yeah, it
to
does.
be. I know Wilderness Lodge is a little out of the way, depending on where you are, what you like to do. But this place is amazing. It's
Yeah,
open.
I think that's my next must do.
It's got a fire pit. It's
So cool.
just the atmosphere is amazing. It's got a great menu with some really strong signature drinks, and it's got a great sort of food menu going for it as well.
She's twisting my arm.
It's going to be a little crowded, I think, for the first few months because their other food court, which the name escapes me right now, but the other food court that services Wilderness Lodge is actually going down for a Roaring Forks. That's
Roaring
the name
Fork,
of it.
mhm.
It's actually going down for a refurb for a little while. So that place is going to be the go-to place for all of Wilderness Lodge, quick serve. So it's going to be a little bit crowded for a while, but I think it's going to be a really cool place as it settles in. Great location too, right there by the water. Do some great people watching.
Everybody needs to go
Have
to
you
the
guys been
Wilderness
to-
Lodge. Everyone needs to make that trip.
I think
The
so.
place is amazing.
Has anybody
And-
done Whispering Canyon and asked for ketchup?
Hey, I got to
yeah.
tell you, I'm looking at the menus right now. It's actually not all that expensive.
No.
It's the price point is really good. It's an interesting mix, in my opinion, of like what you might expect at sort of a low key sit down restaurant.
Yeah.
But what you could get at a quick serve as well. And just the atmosphere looks fantastic. It's open air. It's got big fans and heaters depending on the season, and they really did a beautiful job with this.
Nice. Then we also
Well, Tim?
have a little snippet here that says members who have affiliated their Disney Experience account with their Disney Vacation Club membership will see their Magic Bands trigger a unique purple to green color sequence as they enter the theme parks.
So it was rainbow, and it was super exciting. But for some reason, mine was the only Magic Band that did it. My husband's did not. Has anybody else experienced it? It's super fun.
I've not even
Mine
seen
says
this.
welcome home, I think, right?
Yeah, it will say it does talk to you as well. It says welcome home, but the color changes sort of to remind the cast member that's standing there as you come into the park to also welcome you home.
To say welcome home, right?
Emily, what I would ask you is, does your husband manage his own DME account, or do you manage it for
What
him?
do you think, Rebecca?
Yeah.
What do you think?
So I'm going to send you a set of instructions for you to make that happen for him next time you go.
Oh,
You just
I
have to
know
link
how to,
him up.
but it's way more.
Well, he doesn't even need his own account, but you can link him up within your account
Right.
so that his will do that as
Right.
well.
It's way more fun to lord it over him and say, you know
Uh,
what? Maybe if you ever made any of the plans, it would do it for you too.
Well,
I
there
would
You know
is
you
that.
enjoy it too
Not me.
much.
Can you set it to play a song when you enter the park, like a baseball player walking up to the plate?
all of our little brochures, all of the little like congratulations you've reserved a room with us brochure things, they all come to the Hansa Hicks party, which makes them mad every time. And I tell him he can take over vacation planning anytime he wants.
I was going to say, you better.
So then it'll
better
just
be,
say Hicks.
You better be careful with what you say to him about that, because maybe he'll do the planning next time and you'll get so mad because he messed it up. Don't you ever touch him again.
It's a matter of knowing your spouse, and I know he won't do it. But for the cruise we booked, I did do it in his name as the primary because I didn't want them to announce us all as the Hansa Hicks party when we got on the boat. Because I thought with the price point on that, he would freak out.
It's a cute thing. I mean, it's one of those things that lets those DVC members know that they're valued, hopefully.
Yeah.
It's just,
Well,
I really love it. I do. I mean,
I have to try it with one of my blank bands. The problem is I always use I've got a couple of limited edition ones I like to take, and they do their own thing. So
Right.
Ooh.
I got Olaf. I love him. He goes, "Oh, my own personal flurry."
That was fantastic on so many levels. And now you may have persuaded me to get one of those custom bands. I always argue myself out of it, thinking that it's a waste of money since I get a free one. But if they do something special,
Only the limited edition ones.
Okay,
There's
good
2
to know.
levels, and it has to be the top one. So, yep.
Okay.
Awesome. Hey, Joe, what do you
I learn
have?
something every time.
Yes.
What you got, Joe?
So we're going to talk a little bit about everybody's favorite resort that hasn't opened yet, which is Copper Creek.
Favorite resort.
I feel like it's been under construction forever. Around February 21st, 2017, the master declaration for the newest DVC resort, Copper Creek Villas and Cabins at Disney's Wilderness Lodge, which I couldn't just rename it something similar to Wilderness Lodge to confuse us all, but was filed on February 21st, 2017. According to DVCnews.com, Will Lovato put out a great article, included floor plans of the different types of rooms that are going to be available. Just to give you guys a comparison, comparing Boulder Ridge to Copper Creek, the dedicated and lock-off studios, Boulder Ridge is 356 square feet. The new Copper Creek will be 345, so a little bit smaller. The dedicated lock-off one-bedroom is going to be 761 square feet for Copper Creek. Boulder Ridge is 727, so a little bit bigger. The 2-bedroom is going to be 1,105 square feet. Boulder Ridge is currently at 1,080, so again bigger, which is unusual for DVC. Usually making them smaller, not bigger. And then the cabin is listed at 1,737 square feet, and the Grand Villa, they measured at 3,204 square feet.
Whoa.
Like I said, Will Lovato put up a great article on DVCnews.com where you can see all the different floor plans, what's been filed. So if you're into that, you can kind of see what they're going to look like. As for the points, right now there's no timetable when the points will go on sale. Like we said before, Polynesian's still on sale, Alani's still on sale. So they probably want to sell those before they sell these, but who knows how they're going to do that. Also for Emily, I don't know if this, when you bought Grand Floridian, right, Emily, a while back?
Did indeed. Yep.
Okay, yeah. So they're saying here that there's going to be a fixed week purchase option for certain rooms and certain style of rooms. They said they did this with the Polynesian, Alani, and the Grand Floridian. The fixed week allows a buyer to purchase a specific week every year in a certain size villa. So if you are somebody who wants to purchase 4th of July week every year and have a cabin, you will be able to, it sounds like from this article, to do that. That is similar to traditional timeshares. I know from my family's experience, my parents have timeshare in Aruba and also locally at Orange Lake in Kissimmee. And those are week-based timeshares where they own a same room every week. So like, for example, we're in room XXX in Aruba this week, and then we change to this room for this week. We're in the same room every year. So it sounds like if you're interested in a certain cabin that's maybe on the corner, or there's one that you really like, you could pretty much purchase that option. I don't know if that's going to be more expensive or not, but it sounds like that's available. Emily, I don't know if that was available for you or not.
Yep, and I can flesh that out a little bit. It is more expensive. It's not that much. Well, actually, you know what? I'm trying to think about it. I think what you had to do was purchase the whole week's worth of points. So unlike, we bought a small slice. I think we got 110 points at Grand Floridian so that we could bank and borrow and go there like every other year or something like that. you have to buy basically the full amount of fixed points for that week, which makes total sense. And then the other distinction between a typical timeshare and then this one is that you can opt out any year you want to. So you don't have to use it for your fixed week. They just reserve it for you that fixed week, and then you can kind of decline it. And I'm not sure what that process looks like, but you're not bound to the fixed week, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And then also with regards to the points, just to finish up on what they're going to be offering, the maximum relocation values for the deluxe studio, it's going to look at 18 points a night. The one bedroom villa is going to be 36. 2 bedrooms going to be 46. The cabin's going to be 115, and the 3 bedroom grand villa is 122 points. So it's looking like it's going to be about 25% less points for a cabin than a Polynesian bungalow. That's what looks like they're pricing the point values at. So, and there's no concierge. So,
and question for you, Joe, you mentioned that there are 1 bedroom lock-offs. For some reason, I thought they were all cabins. Is that not the case? Is part of it like a freestanding unit, or are some of the cabins like subdivided, or how does that work?
That I'm not 100% sure.
We'll have to dig into that for next month.
No, it's kind of similar to Polynesian, where they do have villas, studios, and then they have their bungalows. And this is that same.
So where are they building? Do you know where they're building the villas, the non-cabin villas?
I don't know exactly where it's located, but it was another. I thought for sure it was another wing, but maybe I'm wrong.
Okay.
And there are like 5 or 6 different floor plans. I mean, it's a little confusing where they've got typical 1 bedrooms and they reverse them, and there's like, they call this what did it say here? It's like an odd shaped room. Like it's kind of weird the way they did it. Oddly shaped room with a maximum, and they give like a dimensions of it. So I think that I don't know how they did this. But yeah, there's a bunch of different floor plans. It's a little confusing.
I'll have to get online. And
you'll have to get online.
Not that we don't know
master
everything
declaration.
Yeah, not that we don't know everything here at the Roundtable, but occasionally.
Hey, listen, when we don't know something,
things that haven't happened yet.
I'm not sure about that.
Right.
Thanks for catching me
we
off
normally
guard.
know the future. However, sorry. You had a lot of questions.
Sure, your story's next. I'm waiting for that one.
Turnabout's fair play. Turnabout's fair play.
Story? What story?
I'm not really sure what you could ask me about mine, but that's okay.
All right. Emily, what do you have?
There you go. There's our soft transition.
That's what we tried to do.
We will haze you, Emily. We will haze you. Okay.
Go ahead if you dare.
So let me tell you, I think in a couple of previous roundtables, we've talked about the great perks that they were circulating last year. We wondered if they were going to keep doing those. And it looks like they are going to try to keep running perks. I'm not sure if the full calendar year has run on the 25th anniversary yet, but they do keep, you know what? I think it has, because I just looked at the calendar for July when we're going to be down there, and it looks like there are a couple of different events that look really fun. So I'm not sure how fast and furious they're going to be flying this year, but it looks like they are stepping up the member perks and continuing that. So one of them, which I thought was kind of interesting, is, I'm sure a lot of people have heard of these like painting parties. They're often in conjunction with wine. Now this one is no exception, but it's called Painting with a View, and it is a member event where you will be partnered with the award-winning artist Marla E., who I'm not sure who that is, but apparently she's won awards. And I will take their word for that. But you basically recreate a classic Disney picture using basic art supplies is what they indicate. So I think what they do is they give you some restaurant crayons, and you go up to a room. and for $50, let me tell you what you can do. No, it really does sound good, because they do give you complimentary snacks, water, and soda. And 21 and older can enjoy 1 complimentary glass of wine or beer, and additional beverages are available for purchase. So that's your like painting with wine connection, I think. And guess where it's going to happen, guys? This is the real hook. I wish, but almost as good. The Top of the World Lounge.
Ooh.
So,
Nice.
yeah. So you get to have these sweeping views of the Magic Kingdom Park, and you are able to paint there, drink there, eat there. You at the end of the event, you take your creation with you, which is obviously sort of your souvenir. Yes, you did actually have to make it, but it is a souvenir you get to keep. And I'm sure that probably the basic art supplies are a little bit more elevated than restaurant crayons, but we'll see. So the when and where on this are every Thursday from March 2nd through May 25th. So unfortunately, we're going to miss it this year, but it's between 1 to 3 p.m. So it's a nice little afternoon break, especially if you have kids that are sleeping. You can send, gentlemen, you could send your wife off, or ladies, you could send your husband off while the kids nap. One of you guys can man the room, and the other one can go paint and drink. And so that's the Top of the World Lounge, for those who don't automatically know, is at the Bay Lake Towers at the Contemporary Resort. An easy monorail ride from a couple of different resorts and from the Magic Kingdom. And I think I mentioned it was $50 per person plus tax. You call member services to book that. You pay at the time of booking, and you can book up to 90 days in advance. You can book the same day at the community hall at Bay Lake Tower. And if they have availability, of course. Okay. So, cancellation 48 hours in advance. And you do need to be a DVC member. I think you can bring a guest, but you have to be accompanied by the member. And you obviously need to bring your ID if you want to consume alcohol. And that is pretty much it.
Okay, interesting.
Very nice.
If you're
I know
a
my wife
DVC
and
member, that's during the April Looper Nation meet. If you're
it is.
Ooh.
If you just can't handle us
down
anymore.
there.
When you truly get bored of talking with me and Tim,
you could do our portraits.
It would be
better.
Don't do that.
We can have an elitist DVC Roundtable event where we leave all the other loopers. No, I'm just kidding.
This is what happens when you stay at the Grand Floridian. I'm just saying.
Right? Sorry. I don't even know what a moderate is. No, I'm kidding.
Oh my
Please,
God. My wife
Nation,
did.
don't hate me. I mostly do this to be funny.
My wife and her sister did one of those wine and paint things. You guys are familiar with that kind of stuff, and they loved it. They had a great time. It might be a nice way to unwind from your park experience and enjoy a little bit of creativity. Why not paint a Disney picture? What's that?
I'm just wondering, did they say how big what you create? I'm just wondering, my suitcase is usually pretty full.
It looks like what, about an 8x10, Emily?
Okay.
Yeah, that's about what it. Yeah, and they have a picture of the creation. It looks like a picture of the castle. So that's
it would not look like that when I painted it.
You don't know that.
It's a polar bear on an island with a palm tree.
No, it would look like a glass line.
I do think it's kind of a fun thing to incorporate as an offering, because I think it would be at a slightly lower price point. Like I think $35 or $40 would be better, but I think $50 isn't completely unreasonable, given that you do get to go there and have a glass of wine and watch the castle and paint it. Yeah, it sounds like it's. Plus, you are working with an artist, and I mean, I'm assuming it's a legitimate artist, and I think it looks like they have a devoted artist, and it looks like it would be a lot of fun. So,
I paid more for my Dine with Imagineer lunch, and I mean, we had lunch. We didn't really. I mean, it wasn't a hands-on kind of activity.
You didn't build a ride?
Did not build a ride. Yelled at it a couple times. So
you're working on a gondola.
Well, stop ordering all the grapefruit drinks.
Right.
And being unsatisfied.
$50 per person is probably not horrible, really. I think it's
no, not really.
It's right in line with their other prices for things. I think. Interesting.
Sounds good. Hey, guys, we had a question on the website, and I believe Brad answered him on this, but I thought this would be a good thing to discuss on the show. This was from Skylar H. He said, I've been considering DVC for a while now, and after doing multiple spreadsheets, I am concerned about the maintenance fees. I was looking at a 100-point resale contract at Animal Kingdom in 2017. Maintenance fees will be $659. After following the trends at an increase of 3.6%, in 2058, that's in 41 years, the maintenance fees will be $2,711. He says this seems ludicrous and I can't buy knowing the maintenance fees can raise 15% each year if necessary. What do y'all predict? And am I overanalyzing?
First of all, you're not overanalyzing. Second of all, they can actually raise up to 25%, I believe.
Oh.
So it's worse than you thought. However,
good job.
That's it.
Good job.
Now I'm frightened.
No, this is a good question. This is a good question because I had the exact same concern, and he's exactly right to be concerned about maintenance fees because those are 80 to 90% of the money that you're going to give Disney. Like the upfront cost is the least amount of money you're going to give them. But that 2,000 something, you're going to have to remember that everything else ideally is going to inflate with that, including like salaries and everything. That may not actually be the case, but that's sort of like your vacation at Disney World is going to go up much more than that every year anyway. Like the inflation rate on Disney vacations is higher than the DVC maintenance fee inflation rate, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So if look at ticket prices, draw yourself a spreadsheet of those, and then you can see. And that's another thing to consider. You are locking yourself into Disney vacations, which are going to go up in price, regardless of just the accommodations. But the inflation rate does hover between 3 to 5% every year, from what I can tell in my spreadsheets at the various resorts. Sometimes they surge at one, sometimes they drop at another, but you're still looking at a rate that I think is in keeping with the normal vacation increases.
And
Do
Emily,
you guys have thoughts?
Emily, you'd be proud of me. I made a mock spreadsheet here when I saw this question, but just to
I am proud.
Oh, Joe.
I would be very, very simple with
He's a
this.
good
You get really complicated with this, but just say he takes that 100-point contract, okay? Taking the adventure season, which is the very low season, so the cheapest season for the DVC points chart. If you were to get a value or a standard room at Animal Kingdom Lodge, according to the 2017 point charts, if you were to do a whole week in a value, it'd be 69 points, or a standard would be 81 points. You're looking at 9 to 12 points a night, depending upon if it's a night or weekend. The standard would be 11 points, and would be 11, be a little bit more. Now, I researched the regular rack rates for Animal Kingdom, right? As of right now, we know there's always deals out there. There's always cheaper rooms, but the regular rack rates are between $359, which is the cheapest rate, up to $575. That's for a value studio room. So taking the 69 points versus the $359 to $575 room. So even if your dues did go up to $2,700 in 41 years, let's say it stayed at that rate that you figured out, there's no way that those rooms the rooms are going to be valued at way more than that. Like they're not going to stay at $359 in 41 years. So even if you paid $2,700 right now, the DVC value would still be better than paying cash for those rooms. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's. I mean, I don't know if I'm really explaining myself well or not.
No,
but even if it was
totally.
Even if it was at $2,700, you're still getting, for 69 points in a value room, you're still getting 7 days worth, or 6 or 7 days worth of a room. So I mean, that would be $2,100 to $2,300 right there. So you're still breaking even, if not doing even better. And 41 years from now, there's no way that like those rooms are going to be $359. They're going to be way more.
Right.
Than that.
Exactly.
And that's really what Emily was saying was, bottom line is I wanted to add one more thing if I could. And that is I did not include it because that's basically what I responded to him about, was just reminding him that everything is going to go up. So thinking in terms that somehow your Disney vacation is going to stay the same price if you pay rack rate, but it's going to go up with DVC is just not clear thinking. It's going to go up on both levels. So, and they're going to be comparable with each other. But the one thing that is important, and Emily, you said it, and it is true, and it is absolutely possible. And it is good, and Skylar, you did a good job. You should always research. You should pay close attention.
Absolutely.
But here's where we're at. We're 25 years into this. And in 25 years, with all of the resorts that they've built, I did a great spreadsheet too, Joe. I went to dvcinfo.com and let them do it for me. And
I did mine by hand. So.
Mine was
mine was
quicker.
like weeks of.
Mine has lots of
totally
numbers.
Totally not at work.
Yeah. There has been 2 times in 25 years that the amount has gone up more than 7% in a year. 2 times. Usually, like you said, it's usually 3 to 5. Almost all resorts, if you look at their tracked history, they'll have 1 or 2 years where they'll go up in a larger number, maybe go up to 6, maybe go up to 7, and then the next year they're only at 3. And that's usually, you can usually track that back, and they did refurbs or they did something that cost more, and that's what you're paying for. Your maintenance fees are paying to keep the building up to speed and kept up and the employees hired. That's what you're paying for. So the bottom line is, could it happen? Yes. Does it make any logical sense after 25 years of this functioning that it's going to happen? Probably not. But it doesn't mean, it is possible, but I think you're safe to you can feel safe that it's certainly not going to go up 15% for 40 years in a row. It's just not going to happen.
The other thing to think about is that Disney keeps selling the points. So as long as they continue to build, I'm sure you guys have thought this too. As long as they're still trying to sell these points, I feel relatively safe because they are still trying to make an attractive product. And so while they're still encouraged to make an attractive product, I feel like they're still going to buy bottom rate contracts out at right of first refusal. Mm-hmm. Now, are they always going to be creating these? I don't know, but the fact that they tried to extend the old Key West contracts means that they do probably see some profit in this model. The fact that they keep building them means that they'll probably, this seems to be a cash cow for them. So I don't believe that they're going to phase it out or sort of screw the members in a sense, because I think they're incentivized to keep us their best salespeople, honestly.
Yeah, all the guys that are on, the smart guys on the other end of this have made it very clear. This is a cash cow. Has been for a long time. They are not going to shoot themselves in the foot by letting it get out of control. Now, but like I said, some things, everybody was scared to death that the beach ones were getting hammered after the hurricane. But truth was, much of the costs were covered by insurance. So it did go up, had a good chunk, but it wasn't as bad as most people thought it was going to be. So I'm going to see the 2017 for Hilton Head. Yeah, see, it was it went up 0.45. I'm sorry, 5.3%.
Skylar, here's an easy spreadsheet for you to make too on your own. So look at your total buy cost, and then the average time it takes to burn off the actual purchase price plus your yearly assessment. It's about 7 years. Brad, you burned it off quicker than that, right? Yours was paid off quicker than 7 years, right?
Yeah, but I bought so far back that my points were pretty cheap. So yeah, I burned through it pretty quick. I think I did it in 5.5 years.
We cook in our room, so that saved us. That's another thing to consider. Like if the amenities of a 1 bedroom or 2 bedroom, that might actually save you a lot more than just the room calculation.
Skylar, don't think of it as a 41-year investment. Think of it as a 7 or 8 year investment. And at that point, if you decided it wasn't for you, the reason why I bought it was I knew I could sell it. And even right now, I turn around, I'm almost at the resale value of what I bought retail for Saratoga Springs back like four or 5 years ago. So don't think of it as 41 years. Think of it as 7 years and then reevaluate. You can probably get the same amount of money back. So.
Also, if you buy resale, our points, I think we mentioned this before, our points are actually worth more now than they were when we bought it, which with less years on them. So if we were to decide this doesn't work for us now, we would actually get more than our money back. So
exactly. You paid for your vacations cheaper, for sure.
And you have zero problem renting out your point year by year because there's a demand. So even you said, don't be careful if you're gonna go vacation to Disney. You can buy the points. I wouldn't do this as an investment, but don't worry about it if you're not going to use your points. I rent my points out all the time, and they more than cover the cost that I have to pay my maintenance fees by what I rent. So you're good.
And we can stay 2 weeks a year in a 1 bedroom based on if we time it all right, which we don't always, but we can do 2 weeks a year. And our current dues are about $1,400. So if you can tell me that you can match $700 a week in a 1-bedroom suite at Disney, and you can save money on food.
Congratulations.
Yeah, well, then I have made a terrible choice, and I need to travel with you more often.
That's right.
Awesome. Well, guys, we're going to move on to something Rebecca Toon came up with. I love her idea. This is going to be called the Resort Loop DVC Roundtable Recommendations. This month, we want to know, what's each of your favorites DVC lounge?
Yay.
So since it was Rebecca's idea...
Start with Rebecca.
We'll start with Rebecca.
Her brainchild.
It was.
Well, I think this is going to be great because I think when you go to resorts, it's always great to know sort of what the best places to go are. And sometimes I know I've chosen my resort based on the bars and the lounges because that's where we spend a good chunk of our time.
Never.
So, I thought it's an interesting topic. So I'm gonna tell you what my favorite is, with the caveat that this may very well change to once I spend some more time there, to the Geyser Point Bar and Grill once I've been to the Wilderness Lodge, because that place looks amazing. But for now, the winner for me is the Sanaa Lounge at Animal Kingdom Lodge in Kidani Village. It's relatively new for John and I to go there, but this place is amazing. And it's a couple of reasons that make it really great. First of all, 2 words, bread service. You can sit at the bar and have your drink, but you can also order the very famous bread service from the Sanaa restaurant, and you can have it delivered right there to the lounge. It's $12, but it is the best $12 you will ever spend in Disney World as far as I'm concerned. It's a meal in itself. It's fantastic. They also have a number of great signature drinks. They have some wonderfully flavored African wines. My personal favorite is a wine flight called the Johannesburg, and it includes the Black Pearl Shiraz, which is a fantastic Shiraz. So if you're looking for a nice glass of wine, I can't recommend that highly enough. The atmosphere is really great, and because it's Animal Kingdom Lodge, you can usually kind of just pop in there on a whim and always find a seat. We've been there. In fact, we popped in on New Year's Eve last year and practically had the place to ourselves. So it's a great vibe, and it is just really relaxing, and it's a beautiful atmosphere. So that one's my vote right now.
Nice. I've heard a ton about the bread service.
Damn. You're missing out.
I don't doubt it. Oh,
it's so good. It really is.
Nice. Emily, what's your favorite lounge? DVC lounge.
Oh, this is really tough, but oh man. So Rebecca, I need a little bit more direction. Is this a DVC resort only, or is this I think part of a DVC resort?
Yeah, John asked me that. He's like, "You're cheating," and I'm like, "You know what? You're not part of this, so be quiet." So,
so then I can just do what I want to do. Then is what I'm hearing.
I think any property that has a DVC component to it, I think it's fair game.
Okay.
If you can get there from your DVC resort, it counts.
There you go.
Okay. So then I'm totally torn, and both of mine are in the main lodge of a resort with an attached DVC, and it's the Polynesian Trader Sam's, and it's the Misner's Lounge at Grand Floridian. And I really can't tell you which one I love more, because I just, every trip we try to do a crawl where we don't really crawl, I promise. We take the monorail. We don't need to crawl because of the monorail. We just stumble on. No, I'm just kidding. So, but I think that, recently it hasn't been a trip to Disney World without Trader Sam's. And because Trader Sam's and Misner's are so close to each other and they have such fun, different experiences, I really can't separate them. I know. So I actually don't even like the drinks at Trader Sam's too much because I find them too sweet, but they're so different that I just really love them. And I always have to get one that has a special effect affiliated with it. So, and then Misner's, I like to get a really dirty gin martini. So, it's totally different experiences, but they sort of are paired to me. And, those are my favorites. They're not like in the DVC units proper, but they are very close to those.
I'll allow it.
Thank you.
Wow. There you go.
What happened there?
Only if you can come drink with me, right? Please.
There you go. Hey, Joe, what's your favorite?
Okay, so since Emily cheated and picked two, I'm going to pick two,
She
but
did
they're.
cheat that.
But
That was the real cheat.
Wait a minute. Are we at
they're
Panera?
fucking
This isn't pick two.
I'm gonna pick two. So real quick, so my wife and I, we really love Outer Rim at Disney's Contemporary Resort.
Ooh.
Hence, Bay Lake Tower would be the DVC property. Just for a couple of reasons. Number one, Liz, the waitress there, is fantastic. It's not a huge lounge. It's very busy because it's attached next to Chef Mickey's. But we love looking out the window, watching the sunset out the window. If you're there late enough, you can see the electrical water pageant, which is very underrated in my eyes. They always have a game on there. The bartender's always nice. Tables in Wonderland's accepted. So Outer Rim, very underrated. My second one, real quick, is if we want something quiet, it's the Turf Club Lounge at Saratoga. Most of the lounges, like at the Polynesian, Meisner's, all the ones at the big resorts are always very loud, very busy. If you want something that's real quiet, real laid back, where you actually have a conversation, not scream over each other, Turf Club Lounge, they have a TV out there. They have some couches. Real popular place on Sundays to watch football during football season. There's always a game on out there, but it's not a busy bar. It's just a nice place just to, if you're staying at Saratoga, just to kind of chill out and just to decompress for 10 minutes. So I picked two for two completely different reasons, but I'm going Outer Rim and with Turf Club Lounge at Saratoga Springs.
Nice.
All right, pick two. So.
There you go.
Cheater.
Chris, are you going to cheat or are you going to pick one?
It's cool, Joe. Work together on this. United front.
What you got, Chris?
Okay, so I'm going to provide a different perspective because my wife and I aren't big drinkers.
Mm-hmm.
And Rebecca, you're really going to have to go with me here because...
Why not? Everyone else has cheated. Go ahead.
But you haven't seen anything yet. So I'm going to go to Trader Sam's in Disneyland only because I could see the Grand Californian DVC from there.
Sure.
Wow.
Sure.
And
Show off. Show off.
So just based on the proximity in California, it's a tap.
Wow.
So yeah, no, it is for a non-drinker. When you walk in there, it is what you think it should be. It captured what in my mind what it should be, and it lived up to all the expectations that people have bestowed upon it. And I'm a sucker for a souvenir cup. So if you offer me anything in a souvenir cup, I will even order a $25 mixed drink for a non-drinker just to get the shrunken zombie head cup. Yep. So
I've got my little collection going too, so I'm gonna allow that too.
The Trader Sam's in Disneyland was just awesome, and even if you're a non-drinker, you have to stop by just to walk in, just to talk to the bartender, order a.
Do they have the
Shirley Temple?
Do they have the same drinks, Chris, as the one in Florida?
I believe so. We actually got the menu, and when I came back, I was actually comparing it with a friend of mine, and it looks almost identical.
Okay.
I did hear that there's one or two differences, but I don't know what they are.
See, I need them to be different because I need an excuse to go to the one on the West Coast to collect those cups as well.
You'd have to just
One
see
thing
it,
I forgot. You can also completely freely take children until 8:00, I think it is, to Trader Sam's. And as a parent of young children, they are completely captivated and they love the glow cubes.
Are. Have you heard the announcement though when they kicked them out at 8:00?
Yes.
It's so great.
What I bring.
It's so great. They're we think children are outstanding. We'd like them to be standing outside.
Right.
That is good stuff. Yeah.
So great.
Fantastic.
Nice. Hey, Brad, what's your favorite?
Okay, I guess I'm going to go for the trifecta or whatever. Rebecca, I'm sorry. And when I saw your cool idea, I loved it. Right up until I saw it was about DVC lounges, and I went, oh, great. But I'm going to take another one, and I'm going to ask you for a variance. We'll see if you can accept.
I'm going to consult my attorney, Emily.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, we'll drop.
I'll allow it this one. It's not worth suing Rebecca.
Yeah, it's not
All he's
worth
got is DVC points.
Yeah. Here's the deal. We don't drink. My wife and I don't drink, and so it's it's fine for people that do. But the tendency is there's very few lounges that we'll go to. Trader Sam's, we go there because it's a lot of fun. But the one lounge that I think so specifically for people out there that are like us, that that think, okay, I'm going to just turn off the show now because you're talking about lounges and we don't go to lounges. Can I just tell you that it is worth the trip, whether you Uber or whatever resort you're staying in, get over to Port Orleans Resort Riverside to the River Roost Lounge.
Ooh. Yeehaw, Bob.
Yeehaw, Bob.
Ooh.
What is the most amazing? It's a destination now for me. I for years I never went and saw him, and the last 2 trips I went to see him, and I got to tell you, that was one of the highlights of my trip. This guy is not only great and talented, but he's just the greatest. Hang out with him afterwards, talk to the guy. He is so engaging, and it's worth the trip over. And it is kind of fun to hang out in there with the people that are really drinking it up, because man, quite the show. And then I can act like them even though I'm sober. So it's
right.
I think we can easily allow this because it's easily accessible from Saratoga or Old Key West. So
and quite possibly might be a DVC destination at some point.
Right, at some point.
I'm so glad I got by.
Before we close this up, though.
Yeehaw, Bob, aren't we, Tim?
I think that's part of our looper meet, yes.
He is incredible.
Before we close up the lounges, though, let me just say one new and upcoming lounge that I really enjoyed, and I think Rebecca did, and so did Joe.
I know where you're going with this.
The Abracadabra. And we have
Shout
a
out to
Rocketeer
Chris.
there.
Yes,
Chris O'Connor, who's just an amazing bartender there, and he's a member of the Rocketeers now. And he and I think his girlfriend or fiance, don't kill me if I'm wrong, but they are just lovely people. And we met Chris when we were doing our Looper meet, and he's just a fantastic runner. And he's just a real asset to the Rocketeers, and we're excited to have him. So please patronize that bar. It's also fantastic. There's all kinds of magical drinks, and and that's Boardwalk. So I completely forgot about that one.
Absolutely.
But
and I think it's
totally
great to point out, like Chris and Brad said, neither one of them really drink, but the lounges aren't necessarily. I mean, you can go there for the entertainment, or just to have maybe a less child-filled evening. Children are always
with
welcome.
other friends that do, that they're having a blast, and yet I can sit there and have a great time with them too, because it's not just about drinking. There's lots of wonderful things to experience in them. It's great.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Well, Rebecca, that was a brilliant idea. I like that. We're going to keep that up.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. But right now, to wrap up the show, we've been liking to end the show with a Spotlight Resort. Brad, you're going to give us your take on the Old Key West Resort.
Okay, great. Before I get into that, I am going to give an update.
This just in.
Fresh in off the wire. I was listening to Emily when she was talking, but I was also researching. I found info on DVCinfo.com concerning the Copper Creek expansion. Where are those one bedrooms?
It's okay if you ignore me to research for me.
Yeah.
It's totally legit.
And it says on the site, inside the south wing of the Wilderness Lodge, the conversion of hotel rooms to DC villas continues. Studios, 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom units will be available. There's rumors of a 3-bedroom grand villa. So that's where they're doing the expansion.
So they're converting a wing of the hotel.
Yeah. Looks like it's the south wing. Yep. So there you go.
Nice.
All right.
That's kind of fun.
Let's talk about Old Key West. How many of you guys have gone to Old Key West? How many have stayed there?
I have.
I visited.
Hey.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think pretty much that's one of those resorts that I bet, and feel free, everybody, to chime right in. The Old Key West is a great resort. It's the original DVC resort. And, of course, the name kind of gives it away. The design of it is to represent the turn of the century Key West feeling with the pastel, the blues, the pinks, the green bungalows that you'd see down along the ocean. It's got a lot of lush landscaping with palm trees and tropical plants, and it's as long as you stay away from the side that's next to the road, it's extremely quiet and secluded. Some of the rooms look out over the golf course. The others look out over the waterways that lead to Disney Springs. And so one of the other nice things I like about Old Key West is that a lot of the rooms have a bigger, like a patio. So on the lower floors, you get an actual walk outside and sit inside of I don't know, what would you guys say is about 6 foot by 6 foot, maybe 8 foot by 8 foot little patio seating area. Have you stayed in any of those? Or
Pretty big.
yeah,
Pretty big.
it seems like it. Yeah, it's pretty good size, and you can go out there and sit and relax, and it's kind of nice. The other thing that's always been noted about Old Key West is it's touted to be some of the larger rooms compared to a lot of the DVC resorts. That they're pretty big. Although it sounds like Wilderness Lodge, the new ones the Copper Creek are going to actually jump over it a little bit, but they got the studios that sleep 4. These are not one of the ones that they did do a refurb. I don't know, about 5 years ago, I believe. But they did not add in that 5th person sleeper that you see in a lot of the studios. Studios still only sleep 4, but they're good size. And then the 1 bedroom will sleep 5, 2 bedroom 9, Grand Villa will sleep 12, and the Grand Villa you go everywhere from 376 square feet in the studio to 2,200 plus for the Grand Villa. It's sprawled out a lot like Caribbean Beach is sprawled out in little groups of bungalows. Although I don't think it's quite as spread out as Caribbean, but I don't know. I haven't been out to the far reaches I've always stayed really close with Old Key West. So, but they are spread out in little groupings of bungalows. It is important to keep that in mind, just like with Caribbean. You definitely want to do your research and make sure unless you enjoy going for long walks, sauntering to catch a bus to the park, enjoy your day, you need to be careful when you get one, because they do have multiple bus stops. I think there's about five stops inside the resort, but it is spread out quite a bit. So there's like 4. Does that sound right, guys? 4 pools. I think there's three quiet pools and then the main pool.
That sounds right.
Yeah, and the main pool, I really like that. The slide isn't like, drastic, but most of the slides at Disney World aren't drastic. They're not adrenaline pumping. But I do like the pool there, and I love that sandcastle slide. I just like the look of it and the feel of it. It's a nice little pool area. It's got a couple of hot tubs right there, and it's got the locker rooms and washers and dryers and everything right there near the main pool. Restaurants, dining, Olivia's Cafe, and I like Olivia's. Isn't it good?
Olivia's amazing.
Olivia's is one of those places that you just don't really want to tell anybody about because you really don't want people to know about it.
Well, the nice thing is
it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's got such good food, and it's the way that I would describe it to people is that it's down home cooking with a Caribbean tropical flair. In other words, it feels like down home cooking, but it's a lot of seafood. It's got the crab cakes. It's got things that are more seafood driven, but the cooking development of it is just that warm comfort food.
Southern, yep.
Yeah, Southern spin to it, and I love eating there. It's a great
Their
restaurant.
Breakfast is really good as well.
Yeah, they've got those eggs Benedict. Ooh.
It's also one of those weird places in Disney where you actually feel like you're part of the storyline, and it's not all just this like sort of sanitized everything. There's pictures of members all over the walls. So you really sort of feel integrated. Like you actually are a real person. It's a real place, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's kind of ties into that whole Old Key West. I guess a lot of those shops and things if you go to Key West, they're all about history and tradition on their walls and everything. And that's exactly what it is. You go in there and it's just lots of makes you feel at home.
Yeah, the little bar there has you can bring in like patches or like local like fire department and police department that they hang up. Cool. And it's very cool. We sat in there one day just picking out ones that we recognized from near us. It was very cool.
Wow,
is that the gurgling suitcase?
That is the gurgling suitcase.
Oh, yeah. I love the name. I've never been in.
It's really tiny and it's really popular, so plan your visit accordingly. But but you can always get a drink from there and step outside. They have some tables that line that walkway right there. Great place, though. You will not meet friendlier people.
Yeah, it's
and that's the thing about Key West. Like being in a neighborhood of Old Key West. It's such a cool feel to it. Yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
Yeah, they really I think you nailed it. It keeps the theme, everywhere you go. It keeps the theme in the snack areas and the pool areas and the restaurant. You just feel like you're in Key West.
It is really spread out. We stayed there for the Wine and Dine in November, and it is really spread out. And the only piece of advice I would offer you is, you know how when you get on an airplane and they tell you to locate the exits, keeping in mind that your closest one may be behind you? The same thing sort of goes.
Yeah.
For the same thing kind of goes for the bus stops. Sometimes, like we were on bus stop number 4. And so sometimes it was easier for us to get off at the main house and make the quick walk to our room, even though it was further away than the bus stop, because it took us less time to make that quick walk than to sit on the bus for it to go around to those 4 stops.
Yeah.
So just sort of pay, like, I mean, if you're there for more than a couple of days, you'll pick up on that really quick. But just, you don't always take the most direct route. Sometimes it makes sense to do that quick little walk.
Yeah. And if you're really wanting to stick close to the main house and you don't mind getting the golf course view, you want to try to get building 13 or 11 or 12. Those 3 are just right across the parking lot from all the main area, the main pool, the Olivia's and everything. So those are probably 3 of those are the ones I always try for. I'm cool with not getting the waterway view because I don't tend to spend time in my room enjoying the view. I'm usually out there enjoying the view. So, but anyway, let me see what else. Oh, and carrying on with that same theme of how it tries to create this homey, Key West, small, Key West, the feeling of Key West is it's a city, but it's not a city. It's almost like they should shut off the roads on both ends and you can only drive around on bicycles. I mean, that's the feeling. I understand you get there. I haven't had a chance to get there yet, but that's the way it is at Key West. They've got barbecue pavilion where you can get out there and barbecue. They've got ship fishing excursions that leave still from Old Key West, which is kind of cool for people who are looking for something extra, something different to do. They've got a community hall. Have you guys ever been into the community hall?
No.
Anybody?
I have.
Have you?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you want to talk about it? Because I've never been in it.
Yes.
It's pretty nondescript. I mean, it's a large rectangular room. I mean, they have stations designed.
There are videotapes.
Yeah, there are videotapes.
Yeah, free DVDs.
Crayons.
That's why I
restaurant
bought
crayons
DVC.
They didn't use at their top of the world lounge.
It's free DVDs, baby. It's what gets you over the top.
Let me give you another take though. Oh, go ahead.
It's
Chris.
not the room. Honestly, as soon as you walk in, you could just tell though. That resort has a certain vibe to it because even when you walk in, the community hall members that work there, the actual cast members, they're so warm and so welcoming. It's like when you're walking with your kids and you're just looking around. Before you know it, you're doing something, and they force you to do something. So it's a really cool vibe in there too as well. So if you got anybody from the age of 4 to like 14, you have to go.
And 2-year-olds are okay too. And I would say this community hall particularly it feels more like going into like your grandparents, like treasure trove of a basement or like a friend's cabin than any of the other community halls. Our kids, for example, I don't remember there being board games at any of the other ones we've been to. And I swear there were board games at Old Key West, like a whole wall of them. And it's a lot less, it looks less refined and less like sort of a daycare room and more like sort of like somebody's basement or somebody's rec room.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One of the biggest pinboards there too. So.
Oh yeah, there you.
And they do different crafts and things. That's what you was talking about. They get them involved. You know what? When I was reading about this, what it made me think of was Aulani, where
which I don't know about
in the little house there, and it's the same kind of thing where they're really making it feel like the kids. It's Ohana. The kids are there and it's family and they get involved. So anyway. If you need some things to occupy, it sounded like it was really good. They do the standard, movie night, like basically all the DVC resorts do something with a movie, but with them here, they do a campfire in a movie, which is kind of cool. And of course, then I love the boat service to Disney Springs.
Yes,
that's got to be worth a lot right there. Just
it's
pop that boat down.
And even if it took longer, or whatever, it's not about it's about convenience. It's just a fun ride.
It's so relaxing.
Yeah,
ride out by Joffrey's.
There you go. There's your added value right there.
Yeah.
Tim, I'm going to wrap this up by just saying we kind of went full circle. There was a lot of big cards being dealt there. Emily laid down right away the Grand Floridian card, thinking she had the table, and then
Yes.
Chris got to throw in the Grand Californian,
Right.
and of course Brad trumps them all with Olani. No one can come close to that. So,
We
Fancy
talk about it
pants.
all.
Yeah.
these
Well,
guys.
At least I don't brag about my Tesla.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Bob, it's getting ugly. We better wrap this up. They're turning on each other.
A Tesla, a gondola.
I
Oh,
was
wow.
gonna say really what we did. We went
Okay.
full circle from gondola to Old Key West boat.
All right. Well, Tim, what can we say? These guys are fantastic. We could talk all night. They've got all kinds of information. That's why
Oh.
we do the DVC Roundtable.
Exactly.
So
We do it once a month?
We thank you guys so much.
Excellent. Rebecca, where can people find you?
Usually at any of the lounges.
Well, there you go.
For research.
But you can also find me on Facebook under Rebecca Toon and on Twitter under BeccaBerry73.
Nice. Emily?
At First Comes WDW on Twitter, and as I mentioned earlier, Misner's or Trader Sam's or Abracadabar, or hanging out with Rebecca, Joe, Brad, Chris, wherever I can catch them.
So Emily
And
could be
we'll throw in
possibly
Steve
anywhere.
Bob, too.
Emily could be anywhere. Joe, where are you at?
But I got there in a Tesla, so
That's
what
true.
matters.
We didn't even hear you coming. Joe, where can people find you at?
You can find me on Twitter at JoeQuat. You can also find me over. I'm a rotating guest at the Mickey Dudes podcast, which is part of the Joffrey's Coffee and Tea podcast network. So a great group of guys over there. Shout out to all those guys, and give us a listen over there.
Sounds great. Chris, you have a little bit of a show also, don't you?
Yes. You can find me probably easiest on Facebook on our page. It's at the WW Review podcast. So
Nice. And Brad, Mr. Brad Coates.
And you can find me at Papa Mouse One on Twitter and hanging out in the podcast group, the Diz Dads group. I'm real involved with the Diz Dads.
Fantastic. Everybody, I'm Tim Scott. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, ResortLoop.com. Please come out to our Looper Meet in April 2017, the 21st to the 24th.
There you go. And I'm Resort Loop Bob on the Twitter and Instagram. Don't forget to like us on Facebook, rate us on iTunes, and what else should folks do? Tim,
Everyone, please go out there and share the gateway to the magic.
see you, everybody.
With 4 theme parks, 25 resort hotels, hundreds of dining and shopping locations, and seemingly innumerable special events and ticket options, planning a trip to Walt Disney World can seem overwhelming. That's why the ResortLoop.com podcast has teamed up with People Mover Travel to help you get the most magic out of your Disney vacation. People Mover Travel will walk you through every aspect of your next Disney trip, from ensuring you get the best discounts to FastPass Plus and dining reservations and so many other things. Best of all, there is no fee for their service. That's right, you get your very own expert Disney vacation planner at no cost to you. For more information and to request a free, no-obligation quote, visit peoplemovertravel.com.